In the realm of power, your image is your currency. How you showcase yourself holds the key to how others see you. Have you ever encountered someone radiating power? They exude confidence, speak with unwavering authority, and effortlessly command respect. Hence, one of the laws of power is act like a king to be treated like one. However, if you take this law by its definition, you're in for a rude awakening in your own life. In this video, I'll show you examples of how Tony Montana used this law wonderfully.
Want to get to know how I do business?
You're gonna get to know me when you start doing business with me and stop fucking around, Hector.
I'll provide you the 3 strategies that you can use in order to be perceived regally, and I'll showcase why this law can be your downfall. But before I tell you all of this, it is time for Laws of Power, Law 34. The way you carry yourself will often determine how you are treated. In the long run, appearing vulgar or common will make people disrespect you. For a king respects himself and inspires the same sentiment in others. By acting regally and confident of your powers, you make yourself seem destined to wear a crown. Keys to power. As kids, we burst into the world full of energy and expecting the world to hand us everything on a silver platter. Fast forward to adulthood and suddenly we're settling for less, putting unnecessary limits on ourselves and apologizing for the simplest requests. As Robert Greene writes in the 48 Laws of Power, the solution to such a shrinking of horizons is to deliberately force ourselves in the opposite direction, to downplay the failures and ignore the limitations, to make ourselves demand and expect as much as the child. You need to embrace the strategy of the crown. This strategy is based on a simple chain of cause and effect. If you truly believe you are destined for greatness, and I mean you truly believe it, that confidence becomes contagious. It's like wearing a crown that radiates this aura of self-assuredness. People pick up on it and start thinking, hey, this person must have a good reason to feel so damn confident. And here's the kicker. When you act like you're destined for big things, others start treating you that way. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it all boils down to embracing your deep-seated self-belief. Now, wearing the crown might create a bit of a distance from other people, but it is on you to make that separation real. Act with dignity always, as this is an extremely powerful pose, and show that you're on a different level. You have to act differently than the status quo. Demonstrate your distance from those around you by becoming a person who is actively striving for excellence. In a world where everybody is sucked into their little phones, be the one who is sucked into books, sports, studies, philosophical endeavors. Set goals and work towards them on a daily basis. Develop your discipline, nourish your body and mind. Be the master of your destiny, steering your own ship rather than merely a passenger on somebody else's vessel. But remember, being regal does not mean being arrogant. Arrogance is just insecurity in disguise, but I'll explain more about this after the observance of the law. Christopher Columbus was a man who had no peace with the social position he was born in. He desperately sought after greatness, but he knew he was born as a cheese vendor's son. However, by applying this law to perfection, he married into nobility and he peddled with kings. Columbus mastered the art of projecting an air of entitlement and regality, convincing others that he was descendant from Italian royalty. In his pursuit of support for his exploratory ventures throughout the world, Columbus approached Queen Isabella and other monarchs with the demeanor of a peer. Despite his lack of sea knowledge, he exuded charm and self-confidence, creating an aura of destined greatness. Columbus set a considerable price for his endeavors, which established his status. He ambitiously asked for the following things: a crew to take to sea, ships, equipments, a 10% share of the future commerce from any new land he discovered during the voyage, the title of Grand Admiral of the Oceanic Sea, and, to top it all off, the office of a viceroy over newly discovered territories. And the craziest thing about this is that Columbus made these demands even though he had previously been a mere merchant. He had absolutely zero qualifications for the journey he proposed, yet he got almost everything that he demanded. Interpretation. By asking for the moon, Columbus had instantly raised his own status. Why, might you wonder? People assume that unless a man who sets such a high price on himself were either mad, which Columbus did not appear to be, or he must somehow be worth it. Take a page from Columbus's book. Regardless of what your starting position in life is, boldly aim for the stars and others will perceive you as deserving of such lofty aspirations. Robert Greene outlines 3 strategies to teach you how to act like a king, so stick around to find out those 3 strategies. However, and truly wrap your head around this, guys, if acting like a king is all that you do, you are in for a rude awakening. And let me explain why. As mentioned before, being regal doesn't mean being arrogant. Arrogance is just insecurity in disguise. It's validating seeking behavior at its finest, which is the polar opposite of true royal demeanor.
Can't talk to me like that. The king can do as he likes. I am the king. I will punish you.
Is this your king? Huh? Is this your king? Nah, I'm your king.
As you saw in that clip, it's the dysfunctional Shadow King who thinks and behaves in that manner. He's the one who's always out for himself, trying to dominate and manipulate others. It is the spirit of Scar in The Lion King. It's the king who strips the land of its resources and makes the land barren and unlivable. The first thing you need to accept is that you have an egotistical nature that needs to be balanced out. This egotistical nature that drives you can be used for good if you learn how. I'd highly recommend you reading King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. I'll make a video on what the king in its fullness is, the so-called, and guys, I hate this term, the so-called modern alpha male. What you need to know regarding this law, and perhaps your life in general, can be explained by this image. And by the way, this is also what I meant in the beginning when I said, if you take this law by its definition, you're in for a rude awakening in your own life. Let's show it in this way. This iceberg top is what other people see about you. If you learn the most confident and most powerful and awe-inspiring way to behave and show that in the world, which is exemplified by this gold line, but you do not work on who you truly are, people will get to know the real you eventually, and you'll get exposed for the lying filth that you are. True confidence, true self-power, and true excellence of character comes forth from your inner being. It is shown in your day-to-day activities, your flourishing relationships, and the service you provide for the world. It's not just a matter of working on everything on the outside, like dressing well, attaining a great physique, or acquiring a certain amount of wealth. It's about striking a balance between demanding greatness of yourself and respect from others and providing blessing to other people, to make your environment a fertile ground for future leaders to develop. When the inner and outer are aligned, that's where the magic happens. That's when you will be a force to be reckoned with. You don't need to create this fake persona of a king anymore. You'll have a track record and a reputation that speak for itself. If you are just working on what others see, you'll be a fragile, dysfunctional, quote-unquote king. Your foundation is not stable. You'll be arrogant, falsely entitled, as brittle as glass, shattering at the slightest touch of disappointment. You'll live as a fraud. But when you put in the internal work, the excruciating hours full of focus, discipline, and dedication, that is when you will solidify yourself. Your foundation will be rock solid. So take this to heart, you need to work on the outer and the inner simultaneously. Before we go over the reversal of this law, let's move to the 3 outward strategies outlined in the 48 laws of power to help you create the desired effect, projecting a royal demeanor. So let's break those 3 power-packed points down for you. First, the Columbia strategy. Be bold. When you're making a move, go big or go home. Set your demands high and stand firm. Do not flinch. This is your chance to assert your worth. It's all about projecting confidence and showing that you mean business. Second, the David and Goliath strategy. Aim high. Do you want to be seen as a player on the same field as the big shots? Target the top dog in a room in a dignified way. It's like the David and Goliath scenario. By choosing a formidable opponent, you automatically elevate your own stature. The key here is to create the illusion of greatness by challenging someone at the top. Third, the gift strategy. Give to receive. Ever heard the saying, it's better to give than to receive? Well, when it comes to projecting a royal demeanor, giving strategically can work wonders. Offer a thoughtful gift to those above you and you're subtly signaling equality. It's not about begging for favors, it's about establishing a sense of parity. And trust me, This subtle move can pay dividends you never saw coming. Remember, this is your show and you set the stage. Do not be afraid to ask for what you're truly worth. Whether they say yes or no, your confidence leaves a lasting impression. Respect will follow and the rewards may surprise you in ways beyond your imagination. This is your life, my friend, so own it regally. Reversal of the law. Robert Greene explains that the essence of projecting regal confidence lies in distinguishing yourself from others. Yet, you have to be cautious not to overdo it. Such excess can lead to your downfall. Never make the error of believing that humiliating others elevates your status. It's also unwise to position yourself too far above the crowd, as it makes you vulnerable, akin to the caution against the grass sticking out too much. There are situations when assuming an aristocratic post can be extremely perilous. Always remember to keep Law 1 in mind. Do not outshine the master, as this is often a law that gets transgressed when you're assuming you're some sort of a king. Remember, you have the ability to determine your own worth. The way you present yourself mirrors your self-perception. If you settle for less, display hesitation, and lower your head, others will interpret it as a reflection of your true character. However, remember that this demeanor is not your essence, it's simply the image you've chosen to project. You have the option to adopt the Columbus approach, exuding positivity, confidence, and the conviction that you are destined for greatness. Before I cover why this law can lead to your downfall, let's observe this law in the movie Scarface. Observance in Scarface. Tony Montana, like Columbus, is a man who came to America and has nothing. He commits a murder for his green card and starts working multiple low-level jobs. However, he gets an offer to work for this guy. After him being fed up, just like Columbus was with his current life, there was someone offering a lot of money.
Marijuana, 25 tons. You get 500 each. 500?
Look at this guy jumping at the $500.
Eh? That's great, eh?
Tony, however, is having none of that.
You gotta be kidding.
500. Who do you think we are, baggage handlers? The going rate on a boat is 1,000 a night, man. You know that.
Okay. Hey, all right, big man. You want to make some big bucks. There's a bunch of Colombians coming in Friday. I want you to go over there. And if it's what they say it is, you pay them and bring it back. You do that, you got $5 grand.
The point of this clip is not to encourage you to take a shortcut in life by dealing drugs. The contrary, actually. By the way, every time the term drug dealing comes to mind, there is this great quote that I got from battle rap back in the days that I used to watch. And the quote was something along the lines, "Is your money being long worth your lifespan being shorter?" Just think about that, man. Is your money being long worth your lifespan being shorter? And this can be applied for many things in life, guys. Let that really sink in and soak it in whenever you can. The point of the Scarface clip was to demonstrate that when you ask for more, when you demand more of life, opportunities will spring up like mushrooms after rain, guys. You can see him act regally and act like a king throughout the movie.
Panama can sell for 13.5 a key.
13.5? What are you, nuts? We still gotta take that shit to Florida, man. Do you know what that's like these days? You got the fucking Navy all over the place. You got EC2s with the satellite tracking shit in them. Let me tell you, forget about 13.5.
What do you suggest that is reasonable?
He acts with boldness. He acts like a king even in his early lowly days.
Want to get to know who I do business
You're
with?
gonna get to know me when you start doing business with me and stop fucking around, Hector.
The problem with him is he didn't know when to stop. He starts living a life driven by excess. Tony's perspective reveals a man hungry for the American dream, but ultimately ends up being consumed by the dark side of his ambition. Does this remind you of another law? It should. You need to understand that your aim is to exude regal confidence, not arrogance or disdain. Know where you are in life, know where you're going, and try to uplift as many people as you can on your journey. Keep striving for excellence.